just kind of think about it like training. Like when you go squat for the first time, you're probably wobbling all over the place, like feeling really awkward, like really unstable, because if you put a barbell on your back or whatever, and you've never squatted before, you just don't have that muscle memory and that pattern in your brain. The more you do it, the easier it gets, right? I feel like that's this similar concept to tracking your food and your portion sizes. And the last thing I'll say on this before I let you talk, because I'm rambling, is I think that a lot of people also don't realize how much we actually eat. Like, and this is a conversation I had with one of my clients Yes. But I had this conversation with the client last week where we were talking about, I was like, all right, like I think that your maintenance is probably around 2,200 to 2,400 calories just based off some calculations I did, her body weight, her height, all that jazz. And she was like, oh no, like that's way too much, right? And we haven't been losing any weight or anything on the amount of calories she's eating. But I'm like, all right, let's think about it for a second. There is the foods that we're eating, like the calorie density of some of the foods that we're eating, like like nut butter or nuts and seeds. The amount that you eat for the calories that are in that is so small that people don't really realize it. And then when you go out to a restaurant and you eat a meal, people don't realize that most restaurant meals are probably 1,000+ calories. Like even if you're choosing a healthy choice, because that restaurant doesn't care about your macros, that restaurant doesn't care about your calories, they care about making your food taste good. So they're going to add fats, even if it's healthy fats, to that food. Typically it's not that healthy fats, depending on what restaurant you go to. But you're not even going to realize that. So like going out to dinner, you're easily going to smash like 800 calories of a meal, and don't even count the wine and the alcohol and then the bites of the dessert, right? So that's something that I think a lot of people underestimate how much they are actually eating for one side of things, and then there are people who underestimate or overestimate. I used to, like, kind of back a few years ago, when I went on vacation, I used to kind of get caught up on the tracking. Like I was in a place where some people are at, where it's like it's either all or nothing. It's not like, okay, you can have a little bit of both, the best of both worlds. So like nowadays, like when I go on vacation, at least the last 2 years, I don't track. I pay attention to, unless I have a very, very specific goal and I'm like close to that end line of that goal, then okay, yeah, that's a different scenario. But in general, I'm going, on vacation, or even like Saturday night dinners, like I don't typically track those. If I go out to dinner at a restaurant every week, my main thing with tracking is, for me, it helps me to focus in on some different data points that I might be focused in on for a certain period of time. So like, for example, right now, I'm really paying attention to my pre and my post-workout nutrition, because I really want to optimize my gym performance for where I'm at right now. And so tracking, and this is also something like, I don't typically track every day, I guess you could say, because for me, it's like I plan my Monday out, like for food, and then I just eat pretty much the same thing throughout the week. So like, even though I'm technically like have that in my tracker, I literally just copy the day over, and maybe if I change some things, like I'll be able to change those in there. But sometimes it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday all look pretty much the same. So I'm only just like planning out Monday, especially if I'm like trying out a new recipe for dinner or something like that. But typically, like, the reason that I like to track is I'm like such a data nerd, and I just want to see the numbers, like, what I had, like, for my dessert, whatever dinner, I just want to have like a record of that. So I would say, like, yeah, I do track every day, but you could even say it's only once a week. Because it's like I put it on repeat. And then, like I said, on Saturdays, I typically have like a bigger meal, and I don't really track that going out to dinner because I don't want to like stress about that. I have an idea in my head. And then Sundays, I typically pull back a little bit and do more like of a fasting type day, because I want to balance out the weekend a little bit. And Sundays, it's my rest day. I don't really do much. So that's kind of what works for me. But everybody's so different.